am not a sports romance reader, but I am a Layne Fargo reader, and I devoured The Favorites. Katarina Shaw and Heath Roca are a very unlikely ice dancing duo. They do not come from the typical pedigree that an ice skater would come from. She's rough around the edges. People refer to her as white trash. He grew up in the foster system. They are such underdogs who are determined to make it to the Olympics, and they do. However, something explosive happens that leads them to dissolving their partnership, and 10 years later, there is a documentary about them, and Katarina is determined to tell her own story. I'm not a sports person. I am an anti-sports person, okay? But this app made me come to love ice dancing with all the little fan edits, like the tension, the dynamic. Like, I eat this up, and I have been wanting a novel that is exactly like this book on this subject. It was told in part from Katarina's story, but it's also told in an interview format, kind of like Daisy Jones in The Sixth. And like the commentary, the way she structured everything was so great. The whole cast of characters were so fantastic. I especially liked one of the friendships she ended up forming. The dynamic between her and Heath, of course, is very much based on Wuthering Heights, but make it ice dancing. I had the worst insomnia last night. I ended up being up until at least 7:30 a.m. because I could not fall asleep. So I ended up spending most of that time reading this book instead of having like an anxiety spiral like I would normally do. Unfortunately, I had both the physical and the audiobook of this, so I didn't have to have the lights on. And I have to say, as much as I love this physical, if you can get a hold of the audiobook of this, because they have a whole cast of actors for all the parts, especially the interviews, like it is fantastic. Like, this is definitely one of my favorite audiobooks now. It was so good, so I would definitely recommend listening to the audio. But yes, this is a book that I have long been wanting. Like, I've seen read some other books that are kind of similar to this whole idea of like ice skating pairs, but this is like what I wanted when I was thinking. I was like, I want a book like that, and it has been optioned for a TV show, and I'm gonna need them to get this out of like developmental stage and put this into production, because this is gonna be such a good TV show. Also, massive props to Layne Fargo for her range. Last year, They Never Learn was one of my favorite reads of the year. I also read a short story by her, and this is so different than that, but so good. So I think that this now earns her a spot on my auto buy list. I know she has another book that I want to read, and then an audio, I think she co-wrote like an audiobook only series that I have to check out. But yeah, just between the range of like those two books I read, I was like, she's a talented author, and it's definitely gonna be someone I want to check out in the future.